Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome once again. It's that day of the week, this time of a Sunday evening, when we come to you with life's incredible stories from folks that have distinguished themselves. It's Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM, as well as live at the palm of your fingers or on a gadget next to you on YouTube. Welcome once again. My name is Simon Kasyate, as always, and today, special event with a special guest. For quite some time, we first got a glimpse of him in the public domain when he participated in an apprentice kind of TV program, picking up entrepreneurs out of the best folks that had distinguished themselves. The next thing we knew, he was already a bustling entrepreneur running a coffee chain that he wants to refer to as Inspire Africa Coffee. To date, he's also doing more than just that, creating employment for many young people, but at the same time running through the rigors of life as a budding entrepreneur, finding his feet in the club of the big boys. Welcome to the program, Nelson Tugume.
Thank you, Simon Kasyate.
It's been a while. How have you been? How are you keeping?
Well, thanks. Really pushing on and keep going.
I haven't heard from you in quite a while, but the last I caught an eye of you, you were setting up coffee shops across the country, putting up model farms, and in a picture I met on the internet while I was doing my research about this program, you were showing the president around a coffee shop you had built and commissioned in Gulu. Yeah. Tell us, what are you doing?
Currently, yes, that is the big thing. And the highlight of it is that besides the coffee shops that you've talked about, the coffee farms, the model coffee farms, and actually most importantly, not just model coffee farms, but also growing coffee in non-traditional coffee growing areas. And that's the likes of Karamoja, northern Uganda, the border of, yes.
The climate there allows for coffee growing?
Yes.
Or you have a special breed of coffee that can survive in arid and semi-arid areas?
Actually, it is our usual Arabica. But you know, the Karamoja we know from the books is not the Karamoja that I found myself when I was just on my tour, especially when I visited the Ik community. And Ik community. And
whatever took you there, only God knows, but let's proceed.
Yes, and there's another place called Rututuru Hill. You need to get some time to go visit it. That's where Mini used to have his residence.
Wow.
It's one of the most beautiful places. When you're up there, you're seeing Uganda down. That's the border of Sudan and Uganda. Wow. And I visited all those places and reached to get to. I remember walking for about 26 kilometers for 3 times, going there and exploring what exactly we can get. I slept in the Ik for 3 days in a Manyata. I was alone. I had a good time with those Ik, and that's how I fell in love with those places and started growing coffee there.
You have a curiosity sense that's worse than that they normally say in old English adages of curiosity killed the cat. But it's very nice to have such stories coming from you. Gladly, you are alive to tell the story, and we'll be more than happy to listen to your life story. So these model coffee farms you're setting up in different places, are you running a full value chain? Because right now where we are is Inspire Africa Coffee House, which is now at the tail end of consumption, where I will pick my cup of coffee and drink it.
Me too.
But then you are also...
We can do a fast.
Cheers to that. I knew you wanted to back it.
Thanks.
But then you're also running from the garden right into the cup.
Yeah.
How is that going?
One, let me give you the highlight of this. The highlight of this at the end of the day is the Coffee City, which actually would be launched very soon.
What?
Coffee City.
You are putting up a Coffee City?
Yes.
You know, lately we've had so many cities coming up. Acorn City, every city, now Coffee City.
I don't know about Acorn City, but particularly the Coffee City is going to get to about 1 million coffee farmers with an average maybe household of about maybe 800 or so, 800,000 households. 800,000 households. So you even talk about over 1 million farmers, coffee farmers that are going to benefit in this Coffee City.
Where is that Coffee City?
The Coffee City is
Uganda or in one particular geographical area?
It's one in particular geographical area, but benefiting different regions. The headquarters are in Tugume, but benefiting the Kigezi region, the Ankole region, and the Rwenzori region. So those are mainly where coffee farmers are concentrated, especially both for Arabica and Robusta. You asked me, do you have another different specialty kind of coffee that you're doing? No, there are only 2 types of coffee. Arabica and Robusta. You'll find the Renzori ranges, you have Arabica and a bit of Tsora Arabica. Tungamo has both. Isinjiro, part of Ankore, most of it has Robusta. So the coffee city mainly is to get farmers to somewhere where they can have specialty coffees and good quality coffee so that they can get premium prices. Let me tell you the reason why you probably found me in coffee, and probably that's what many people have not realized or have not known. The reason why I came into coffee was at one point I went to the US, invited by White House. And because I was from Asia, I had to pick something Ugandan. So I had to pick it from the US in DC. And what happened, I go to this coffee shop, it was a Ethiopian entrepreneur. And by chance, I found a Ugandan pack from Kapchora. It was 50 grams, 500 grams. I bought it $79. That was fascinating. Not quickly, it didn't get into my mind because I was on the rush, excited to go to the White House. So later on, when I came back to stay in the hotel, I said, come on.
I just bought half a kilogram at $79.
Half a kilogram at 79
in
kilograms.
Ugandan rough.
About 250,000. But remember, this was Kapchora coffee. Not, it was even still written. I think this guy got probably one of the packets from the airport and said, let me put in my shelf. So I asked, please kindly give me that coffee. He gave it to me at $79 and others which are about 80 and so on. So, but me particularly, I was looking for Ugandan coffee. So I ask, when I come back, I ask my mom, how much do you get out of this coffee? You know what my mom tells me? About 4,200.
For a kilogram.
For a kilo, that's about $1.2. So that was 2014.
So between your mother, who is the actual grower of the coffee,
Yes.
at 1 point something US dollars,
Yes.
you finally find it on the shelf in DC
Yes.
at $79.
At $79.
And right there, a light bulb is
So
lit in
that
your mind.
disturbed my mind. Honestly, that was the
And
story.
then the idea came.
Yes, that disturbed my
Now
mind.
enough of this coffee conversation, because
Yes.
there's no conversation about you without coffee.
Correct.
Let's maybe get to know about you, the entrepreneur that you've become. So let's just start from the beginning. Where were you born? When were you born? To whom were you born?
I was born in 1983 in a small town called Rashamire, that's between Tungamo and Rukunjiri in the southern part of Uganda. I grew up like any other child, although from poor and humble beginning.
What do you mean poor and humble beginning? What was your father doing or your mother?
My mother was a farmer. My father was a farmer, who then my mother grew up to start a small shop in a small town. And therefore, you could say she was a trader. And that's where also my life began.
But your father
Being an
maintained
entrepreneur. Yeah.
the farming.
Farming of pineapples, and he used to take me all over market selling juice in the markets. And that's where I started my first own business of selling water on the street.
Water on the street.
Yes. So you know Kavera, I used to, in 1994, that's when our town received electricity. So my mother bought a small fridge in her shop, and then I asked her the lower part if she could give it me, so I would quickly boil water, put it in Kavera, put it there, and then sell it. And it was exciting.
It would be very nice to find out how these entrepreneur feelings, sentiments, and even the go-getter attitudes are born in a person like you.
Yes.
And we can see clearly that it started from the beginning, but later on in the program, I'm sure you will explain to us much of your socialization that leads you to the entrepreneur or the business person that you are today. Next one on our program, we play music. So it's at this point that I invite you to play your first song. What will be your first song?
Beautiful in White.
Why?
It's a
lovely
song that I find I'm someone who loves my family, and the fact that I love my wife is a song that I played on our wedding and our 10th anniversary engagement. So it keeps in my mind, and it's a beautiful song. Every time I play it,
Brings back fond memories. Well, let's get down to listening to these wonderful serenading words as chosen by Nelson Tugume here, an entrepreneur, but also importantly, it looks like he's sending a direct dedication to his dear wife for the love of over 10 years. We'll be right back. It's Desert Island Listen.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
So as long as I live, I love you. We'll have it all
welcome back. It's an interesting conversation with a man that has a knack for business. Looks like it started from humble beginnings. Nelson Tugume of Inspire Africa Coffee, who you possibly have caught in earlier years doing reality TV kind of programming that was supposed to hone entrepreneurial skills. And many years down the road, we catch up with him, find out what's been happening in Zay. But most importantly, what about him? So in this family where you were born of very humble beginnings, an entrepreneur mother, are you an only child, a middle child, only boy?
Where to?
Just one, two?
Yeah, my young brother and myself.
That's usually rare to find a family of just two.
Yeah,
so
because I lost my dad
dear.
when I was 11. So, and my mother couldn't move on with any other person because I think what was on her mind is how was to raise these two other kids.
Now take us to the best, with the best of your recollection about that childhood. Because clearly you can see that there's adversity earlier on in your childhood. Your father dies. Your mother is, scratching here and there to ensure that you guys get a decent education. Take us through.
I just want to probably understand that my mother opened me to the entrepreneurship journey at an early stage. By primary one, I was already running her shop.
Oh.
And remember those kind of shops that we have in the countryside, you even put a crate of soda, stand there on the counter so that people can be, even people need to see you.
Also behind the counter?
Yeah, behind the counter.
You had to stand on a crate.
On the crate so that people can be able to see.
Because you had a little bit of small beard.
Exactly. So, to me, I never forget tell that story. I remember just some moving fast forward. I remember along the way, I did a coffee business.
As a young child?
As a young child.
How so?
That was in primary four. Primary four, and that was 1994. So my father had only 2 coffee plants, though his brothers had shambas of coffee. But for him,
Your father had 2 coffee plants?
Only 2.
One plant?
1 and 2. And they were just, I think, by mistake that they were in his plantation.
So he hadn't planted them himself?
It was just... So I asked my dad, because it was red, asked my dad, can you give me these 2 coffee plants? Because I had a story that coffee is making rounds of money. In my area, there's what you call season. So when there would be a season of coffee, you would see a lot of money. And I would see it from the cash points. When you're receiving people buying Ushera, buying everything.
You would see quite a bit of inflation around your mother's
especially
shop.
When that time, what you call the season. So I had some bit of... So 1984, my dad agrees to give me these 2 coffee trees. They were red in color, red cherry. That shows you that we were never coffee farmers, though our uncles were, big time. So what I did, I got 2 basins. I went and harvested myself, got 2 basins.
2 basins?
Yes,
Full of...
2 basins. You know a basin? Yes.
Full of coffee?
Yes, not a debe, basin. So I took it to an agent and got 25,000 shillings.
Wow.
2 basins. And I felt this was exciting.
Quite a bit of money.
So immediately I employed my cousin from my uncle because they had shambas and gave each 2,000 to go and pick me a basin. In the, when you're harvesting, there is coffee that remains on the floor. And because coffee in 1994 was such a huge, big thing, because Brazil had been hit by coffee wilt, so the prices were 10 times.
Wow.
So these guys, I employ 10 of them, and they bring 10 basins. I sell each at 45.
Not stolen, but...
No. They picked from... Because the farmers didn't have time, or they were excited for the prices that they did need to pick these others down. I saw for the first time, Simon, my village turned from banana fibers, kind of roofing, and grass-thatched house, and Vitogo, to now white papyrus street, to Mabati. People now having Roadmaster, those kind of bicycles, you remember. People having mattresses. And therefore, to me, I get this 450,000 shillings in a day, because I took these 10 basins, and this guy is able to give me now 45,000 because it was dried coffee. Remember, there was cherry, but it's dried. 450,000. There I am. And then I became a very serious coffee trader. I remember.
As a young child, when you have 450,000 shillings,
Yes.
the temptation for buying soda, biscuits, and new shirt, maybe a ball to play with is very high.
I think a lesson.
How did you blow that money?
I think a lesson that I learned from that, in a nutshell, what I did, I was in my primary 4, and everyone in P7, in P2, used to come to my window when it's break time. So everyone was given all my money. Everyone.
So you
For
blew
that
the
whole
money.
season, everyone, it was not only 450, remember it was now a recurring thing. So I went into real coffee trade. So the head prefect, everyone
You
had
now
a share of that money. And I was Mr. Man at school. I was the pompous little guy at school. But later on, what actually I learned from that was that immediately when that season ended, I actually found myself with nothing. And
Back
the
to
pomp I had
disappeared.
was no longer anymore. Was, who are you?
No more money.
So I realized that if you make money, you must find a way of keeping it. And to me, no wonder by the time I finished P7 and my P7 back, I remember that's when the time my dad was passed on in primary 6. And what happened was, I remember I had bought about 20% share in my mom's shop. I remember my mother was buying a small pickup called 1200, 1200. I contributed about 2.5 million. I did eucalyptus seedlings. A friend of my dad came and bought the whole lot at about 2.5 million. I was able to go to the bank and borrow about 1.2 to start chicken and poultry.
As a 13-year-old?
Yeah, my mother was from a circle, which he had to give me, like, to be my guarantor. So he guaranteed me to give me some money so then I can be able to start the chicken.
So what haven't you done, Nelson? You have traded in coffee, traded in a little shop, had the chicken farm, raised seedlings, all this in a very short time. But at the same time, you're also going through the rigors of school.
Yes.
I reckon your primary school must have been a village primary school.
Absolutely.
In that town.
Tunga Primary School, if you've ever
After
heard
that,
of it.
where did you go for your secondary school? And how come with the rule of money, you actually found it important to proceed with an education? Was it your mother who pushed you, or?
What haven't I done? I think I've not sold human beings. That I've not done it.
Not yet.
I'm not sure, but I haven't. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that my education mainly, especially when I started understanding education, most likely it was about my mom. It was about, because everyone was telling my mom how she's spoiling me, how she's getting me introduced to another stage of money, and therefore I'm not going to go so far. So to me, every time it was about my mom.
You need to prove a point.
Yes, I needed to prove a point that I can study, I can get good grades. Whenever I go to study, though I would go late because I'd first do some business. When
Make the fees.
Yeah, make the fees. Like I told you, we bought a small 200, so I would first take the other kids in different schools. Immaculate, Weranyanji as a taxi operator.
So you were already driving at the time?
Yes.
Let's play next week and then you tell us how you first get to drive, because being born in the village, raised in the village, and then here you are able to drive. That must have been a first in the village. So what will be your second song?
My second song.
Then we shall get back to.
All right, my second song maybe. There's this song I had on radio in my car, sometime back, called Ayocha Ayocha, and by Cindy, and I asked her, I'm not very good at songs. I said this must be someone with good talent, and to me that spoke to me, and that has been a good song that.
Do you normally dance to music? Do you even have time to enjoy music to the point of dancing to it?
Especially when I'm in the car.
That's when you listen to music.
Yeah, that's when I listen to music. Music is like, I listen a lot to gospel music. So music is what I eat. Is my, as businessmen, you have a lot of disappointment, a lot of thoughts, and you have to have something that needs to keep you going. Long journeys, you have to have something.
Wow.
Because you're from a banker to maybe
a tax person
to a creditor to a money lender to all those kind of people, and therefore I think I've learned that that's what really
Kogwe, let me listen to Are You a Child?
correct.
Well, let's just dance to that beautiful song on a Sunday evening such as this one. As Nelson continues to share with us his interesting life story, where he's a jack of all trades, and let's find out what he's a master of when we return from that short break.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome back. It's the Desert Island Discs, and we're still having this conversation with Nelson Tugume, a businessman, but a guy that has, interesting way of telling his story. Born of humble beginnings, but doing very incredible stuff. So, at what age did you learn how to drive? As soon as your mother bought a car, you must have stolen it the next day and tried it out on the road.
Yes. I think I was, they told me when I was a young person, I used to use this round, there used to be a round steering wheel, but made in rubber.
Mm-hmm.
And when they would send me either for water or something in town, and that's what I would go riding till to town when I'm driving and come back.
Uh-huh.
So I think driving is something that I liked. And therefore, even before my mom bought that small pickup in Form 1, I had a friend of mine who had introduced me to, so I would quickly get on my savings, which I'd made, and give these guys who are going to wash, after the taxis when they are done in the evening and then they are going to wash. So I would give maybe some 5K to give me that short distance to understand how I can drive. Yes, so it was not even before, it was not after we had bought that small car, no. I had an idea of how to drive a car.
So when the car came, when your mother's car was bought, you could comfortably sit behind the wheel and drive.
Yes. Though I had a driver.
You were below 18.
Yeah, I had a driver who could not really, I think maybe, I don't say he was jealous, but he could not give me enough time to, maybe he thought he would lose the job.
I think he wasn't jealous. He was just very cautious about losing his job and destroying his boss's biggest asset.
Maybe that was so. But later on, I became the driver, and I remember, just for your own information, while I was in Tari School or joining Tari School, we had another minibus where I was a taxi conductor. And
that belonged to your mother, or
that belonged to my mother.
So you were a taxi tote?
Yes, I was a taxi tote.
What haven't you done again?
I said.
Except human trafficking.
Human trafficking. Yes.
Taxi toting, at a stage in your life when you're battling with puberty issues and adolescence, sometimes appears to be a very terrible and dirty job.
Yes.
Especially if you get to meet some of your peers from school.
Yes.
How were you able to not duck away when you saw your peers from school as you
One, it's something that I was never ashamed of. It's something I did with my heart and my whole heart. And everyone that I took in that taxi, I think still remembers me because I gave them the best customer care they can ever have. I think it was the first time to see a young man who knows English and who does a tax job. So even it was not something that I was ashamed of about Simon. It is, I used to even take my schoolmates. We used to have this Werantari thing. So I used to take the girls of Weranyanji, the Ntari people, Immaculate, all those people, they knew me. And when I would come to class with them, then it would be a different story. And I think I could say fairly good student or average. I don't know how you could say it. Just for your own information, I remember when I was doing the taxi, then every time I would come back, I would still go back and teach in my local school.
In the local primary school?
No, secondary school.
Really?
Yes, because I was very good in accounts. And I was actually the best in the country in accounts. So that teacher from my former school started another school. And he said, Nelson, with your talent in accounts, I really need you to teach my students. So I would make sure by 4 o'clock, I'm ready in that small town. If I have to go to Rukunjiri, then I would give it someone to go to Rukunjiri, then I go for my teaching class. And that's how I was able to juggle between different jobs at a young stage. But all in all, to say was that I learned a lot. I don't think my entrepreneurship is learned at this point. And that's what I keep saying. I think entrepreneurship needs some patience, needs to go through a couple of lessons, needs for you to understand to manage people. Uh, I do couple of things, couple of projects, and you find you're dealing from the cleaner, the welder, the builder, the mansion, to the president, isn't it? So you might, when you see the president or the ministers, you may forget who you are.
You may think you're one of them.
You understand? And forget to understand that you're from there. So to me, those experiences that have made me, that I've gone through, have made me to continuously work with everyone. It's an opportunity for me, yes, to have an idea or share ideas with those people. But I think our whole life is down here.
But tell me, when you are earning quite a bit of a dime like you were as you're going through school, yes, I know you told us it's the fear of your mom and the need to prove a point to her that kept you going.
Yes.
But again, sometimes you may find some sharper people up above the food chain that possibly can use and abuse your talents and possibly steal from you. Did you get those kind of experiences?
Yeah, of course.
Were you ever cheated?
Do you mean in school?
In school
or everywhere?
In the life of business, off on the streets.
That will always happen.
Especially so when you are much younger than the people with whom you deal.
Yes, that will always happen. But I think one, God protected me. But secondly, my kind of life. I was not a physical fighter. I always fought psychologically. If let's say in the taxi business, if a passenger was probably annoyed or maybe wants to pay less money, and it was not usual for me to get on top of my voice, I would use the best way there is to get the money. So I've had so many people trying to have their way around, but I think psychologically we've beaten them, and you can never stop that. But also secondly, I've been trying to be smart in whatever I do. I try to be very, how can I call it, concrete. I try to be very specific on certain things. I try to mean my word, and if you don't mean your word, then that's where I'll have a problem with you. So from the word go, if you're starting a contract with someone, I know here in Uganda, even by word contracts change. Someone says, I'm taking the job, after 2-3 days, you say, Mzee Wansera,
Yet you agreed.
When you agreed. So also I've been able to manage and maneuver through that. So I've learned even when you're doing a project these days, especially in Uganda, you must put in 10, 15, 20% of those kind of losses that I have. It has occurred many times. Not many contractors have contracted and they have delivered
as per specification.
As per specification. Yes.
But Nelson, you were going through school at the time when you're also doing so much in terms of entrepreneurship, and yet you had school to enjoy, you had games to play, you had interactions to make. Did you ever play or engage in any extracurricular activities other than business?
One is that I liked sport.
What sport?
When I was in primary, I used to be a 10,000 meter runner.
Okay. There's something about your feet that's so fast. You're always moving from one place to
another.
Yes,
so that was, I used to be in the district, either number 1 or 2 in the district. So I did that very well. I was a goalkeeper at primary 5, a school goalkeeper, but I lost when I was diving, I lost this knee.
Oh no, sorry.
So somehow then I had to leave
active football.
Active.
So you retired way early into your career.
Yes. But I kept on. I remember being, like in secondary, being a health prefect. Then I had to be as a team doctor on most of those. But most importantly, and very important, and I don't know if we are going to have this again in our country, I was a scout. And I went to the highest level of scouting, to even wood badge. Wood badge is the equivalent of a general, exactly. But the training there, and many people don't know where I've gotten these kind of skills, multitasking skills. When they tell you you're supposed to be at parade in 5 minutes, and you have 100 things to arrange before parade in 5 minutes. And to me, that scouting, I don't know how much we can promote it again. But it was one of the things that changed. I had even to lose, I didn't lose a year, but I had to lose my Form 5 because I was selected among the few to go to Thailand.
For a jamboree.
For a jamboree. So I had to lose my my Form 5, but it was good when I came back. I asked the headmaster to allow me get to Form 6, and then I would do some coaching, extra coaching with the other teachers, and he allowed. I know the staff had two ways on this. Some were saying no, because I was doing sciences, and you know, those DX backhouse things, if you lose some of them.
If you don't do your curriculums.
Exactly, then you don't really. So, but the head teacher was someone that I think trusted in what, that I could be able to do it. I know my mock I didn't do well. I remember I got like a 5, and the 5 was bad, isn't it?
5 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I came up with about 17 points in my final.
That was epic, eh?
Yes.
Let's play our next song. When we return, it's more about your life after the university, hitting the streets. And unlike many young people,
yes,
I don't think you struggled so hard to find a job. You possibly created one immediately.
Like the next song you had asked is, you know, this song by Bebe Cool?
Which one?
He
has many songs.
Love You Every Day. Love You Every Day.
Love You Every Day, yes.
Yeah, that I think the
well,
song
I think set somewhere in those places that you like, the Karamoja areas.
Exactly.
And all that. The video is very fascinating.
Exactly. Yeah,
Wow.
so our...
Again, for the benefit of your wife's listening pleasure.
yes.
Love You Every Day, very cool. As chosen by Nelson Tugume. He's interestingly sharing his life story. And oh, what a guy in terms of multitasking and doing so many things way ahead of his time.
Thank you.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome back. It's on 91.3 Capital FM's Desert Island. My name is Simon Kasyate. And yes, having this conversation still going on with Nelson Tugume of Inspire Africa Coffee, an entrepreneur who's running so many things, and it's clear that not much has changed about him today as it were many years ago. He's still multitasking with so many balls juggling in the sky. So Nelson, you complete your high school, first with flying colors, and are admitted at university. Which university were you admitted at?
Makerere University.
What course was awarded?
I was actually admitted for government sponsorship at Chambogo to do Bachelor of Finance and Accounting. But I chose to do IT, Information Technology, because I felt I'd done a lot of accounting, and I needed something new, something that was coming. So I was lucky that Information Technology were the first actually people to be taken on then. And yeah, I went to university, and because of the entrepreneur who I was to start a few projects. And those few projects that I started, basically, one of them I know was a real estate. So by then I was running an account with my mom. And we had accumulated some money. Maybe I may not go into that past, but we had accumulated some money. So I risked and went ahead and bought a plot in Nigeria. It was a bush in Nigeria. I brought my mom to show him the plot, and she told me, Nelson, you've taken me back to Nkunzi. Nkunzi is my village.
She said you have taken him back to the village.
Or what you call a chibingo. I said, no, Mom, I think this is something better that we can develop. So we...
How big was the plot?
It was half an acre. And just shortly after 6 months, we start building. That 1,200, I bring it now to the university. So, because that place didn't have water, no electricity, nothing. But I said,
You went back to the village,
got the 1200.
get the 1200 to Kampala, and left her with what?
She, it was on specific task. You do this and then it can
Come back.
go back. But most importantly, because there was no water, so there was all that to be collected. So I gather a few sand and all this and that and start the project. There was
What
nothing.
were you planning to build there? Rent?
Semi rentals. Those semi-detached houses. Yeah, so along the way, as we started to do that, I get someone to buy, because I divided into half. So half an acre, we get that same plot exactly the same money after 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah,
so you had 100%.
Yeah, exactly. So I sold it and continued to build. And I remember by the end of that project, I was finishing first year, I was able to go to housing finance, and who became my friend, he was a manager then there called Mr. Kabonero Patrick, was gracious enough to lend me 89 million to finish that project.
And you completed it?
Then we completed and kept on, doing small jobs at the university while studying as well at the university.
And picking rent from the rent?
Most of the rent I was paying the mortgage, but I was staying in one of them. But you see, the most important thing, it was teaching me about financial discipline, how to deal with the bank. Because later on I dealt with big banks, big money, later on, and I could say it caused me a lot of issues. It actually caused me to be under. When I say under, yes. You're here and so you go minus.
At one point you were facing bankruptcy in the face?
I think it was more than bankruptcy.
Insolvency?
Yes, at one point in my life.
And you got out of it, Nelson?
Yes, I had to work hard to get out of it.
What were the circumstances? Maybe let's just jump to that point. I mean, how did you spend yourself into insolvency?
One is that I went into big businesses, and there were forex risks that happened. There were issues of policy. I remember at one point, I will not go into how I started my car business. Later on, I owned a car company, but it was also from a humble beginning.
You were buying and selling cars? Buying and selling.
And when I started from one car, and by 18 months, I was doing about 300 cars per month. But I remember at one point, a URA commissioner just put a very small statement on Notspot, no method one anymore. There are some people who abuse the method one. Method one is a form of way of paying tax. So you pay according to the invoice value and you declare. So some people who misused it, the commissioner had to do it with immediate effect, not even giving a single grace period. I had over 280 cars. I think there were 283.
On the high season?
Yes. And each car would mean that I would pay more than 1.6 million. So 1.6 million times the amount. Yes. When I started business, shortly I had left university, $1 was 16.30. By the time I quit cars, $1 was almost 3.5, 3.6. So it means if you had $1 million, you now have $500,000. So with policy, with high rates, with change, with interest, I'm not very surprised or ashamed to talk about bank interest. There's no way how, as a businessman, I can tell you, unless you're doing shady deals, you can make it with bank interest.
Of 20-something%.
Yes, I have the figures and I'll give them to you. You'll have agriculture maybe giving you the highest return. You put in $1, get about 7. The next two is service. Service, you will get, maybe you put $1, get about 2.2. Those are the banks, the insurance, the MTN. You get manufacturing, get in, put $1, get about 1.8. Yeah, the others are even below. So tell me, if you're borrowing at 22%, tell me how are you going to be able to pay that money.
But
And
so you went ahead and were dealing with these financial institutions. You went ahead and were borrowing.
Yes.
Could one say now, with the benefit of hindsight, you possibly just had what we call juvenile inexperience that made you to go into a direction you otherwise have avoided?
you mean then?
Then, yes.
One is that there was a big boost of money from I don't know where that bankers had to give out. So whoever had cash flows like I did,
They approached you.
they approached you and they had to give you money.
And they
I
made
had
it
to one point paying an installment of about 180 million per month.
How were you getting the returns per annum?
That's what I'm
And
saying.
listen, you're also a young man, barely out of your 30s,
Yes.
and you're running huge businesses that most people, even in their 50s, would find very difficult to run, especially also without business advisors and the like. Don't you think at some point one would say that you were biting more than you could chew, which many times is the biggest folly of most young people in this country?
And I agree with you 100% that I took so much. But to me, it was exciting. It was about that positivity that things were going to get better. But you know, like you said, you don't have these mentors, business advisors, or even your appetite for risk, I think at that age, because I was 24, 25, it's too high, it's too huge.
You have a lot of time on your head.
And you see people here giving you money, and you've not burnt your fingers. So until you burn your fingers, until Simon, I reached at a point where I had over 12, 15 properties in Kampala, and all of them were sold.
Okay.
And had to go back and rent a 3-bedroom house. Remember when I come here in university, I was staying in our own. So even my mother's house, I had to lose it. And
Those rentals you built in Nigeria,
yes,
you lost them.
and that's how tough.
And your mother kept you on her list of sons?
She
never gave up on you?
She never gave up on me. Actually, at times I would call her to send me some rent. You've been operating billions and billions of money, and you reach a point where you may not get rent.
Yes, so at this point when all this happened, to this point of rock bottom, I would want to call it,
Yes.
had you actually started a family? Had you married?
I was actually in my initial stages of family. I had one kid.
You had just married?
Yeah, I just married. I got married 11 years back. And
I wouldn't ask, I mean, with the kind of money you had and the high life you were living,
Yes.
it must have come natural to easily pick up a mate. But let's see how you lose it almost overnight,
yes,
and I still married the same lady.
I'm still married, yes. My wife has been she's been a pillar at all this. And their family as well, and her family. A very big pillar. And if you get in problems that I did go through, and I think a couple of other business people go through, and you have a very weak wife, most likely she will leave you.
But Nelson,
Yes.
it's a very small percentage. If what I read is anything to go by, I'm not a successful businessman or even a businessman by any right.
Yes.
It's a very small percentage of business people that go through bankruptcy or insolvency
Yes.
and take a recovery upwards, like you seem to be doing at the moment.
I agree, and I've seen a couple of them that I know. It's been tough for them. But to me, it's about realizing the mistakes you did and you don't want to do them again. You could even do them, but you don't want to do them again.
Are the banks still welcoming you? Would you walk into a banking world and say,
No, no one wants to take you up now in the banking system. Remember, you have a history of CRB, 1,200 so days or something like that. Which bank wants to deal with you, even when you have the best?
business model on the
Yes,
table?
yes.
So how do
But I
you make
always
your
tell
recovery?
bankers that you guys, actually, you could deal with me better. Because I've burned my fingers, I know this, and I don't think you're going to deal with any angel. So I could actually be the best because you are sure that if you give me money, then I can do a better job now.
Or maybe they give you the money and the next thing they will never hear from you, you just disappear.
The moment that you come back and relaunched back, it means that there are some things that you had to go and it means you're a new you, especially in the business area. It means there are so many things that, Simon, you may not relate to. When you're in debt and you have all these responsibilities, monies to pay back, you have, what do you call them, court bailiffs, you have money lenders, all these guys around you. That's what I call a thick skin. You
You
got
must
to
have
have
a
thick
thick
skin.
skin.
Yes, if you and I think every entrepreneur needs it.
I don't want to really get the gory details of how you
Yes.
lived your life through this thick skin,
Yes.
but I'm sure every moment was looking over your shoulders.
Yes, one was that I lived a positive life all through. I knew it was a wave that had come, but what
It
I
wasn't sweeping you. You said, this one won't take me down.
yes, so to me, that wave came and went away. I'm now a new me with new business ideas, new business models, but even a better business person. What I had then, maybe I could be 3 times today. I'm telling you to do a coffee city, probably, maybe we're investing there about 10 or 12 million dollars, and other projects that we'll be doing. So maybe now I'm a better business person. I'm even much humbler.
You now live within your means.
I live with, I never actually, all my time, I lived in my means.
Mhm.
It's just that
You possibly overspent.
it was an overinvestment. You understand when I say overinvestment, and then the bank has
You stretched yourself too thin.
exactly. And you remember you don't have good managers. You're the one. And I remember also the epic of Inspire Africa also put me in a place where I was not supposed to be. You have all this glamour, but inside there you're dying. So that
Inspire Africa was that reality TV show of sorts
yes, yes.
that you were a part of, that then eventually gave birth to
Inspire Africa Coffee, the renewal energy that we are now in. And we never gave it up. We never, actually Inspire Africa also was one of the issues that caused me that loss. One, it siphoned money from the other businesses, but also I started putting time in this. But also, you know, like every other business or any person has that inspiration why puts them to do something. To me, being a Nissan, Toyota, Suzuki agent, I felt there was nothing I was adding in my country. There was nothing. I mean, I was employing a few guys, drivers. I felt there is much more I needed to do that needed to be meaningful in the country. And I know my friends have been against it, that Nelson, for it's always about other people, you don't mind about yourself. But you know, everyone has that heart that I don't know if you understand what I mean. It was, yeah, the money. I remember you'd be doing transfers of $200,000, $400,000, you know, 1 million, and you're like, what am I bringing back in this country? So to me, that was the helm of Inspire Africa. I said, what was that? And that's why I ended up even going into coffee, and still in coffee. And I've told people that as long as I get my mother a good price for her coffee, I will leave coffee.
Wow.
And that's my big dream.
Nelson, let's play your next song, and when we return, we look at some bit of personality profiling on your end, just to understand you better, and more especially to take in the whole idea of that thick skin you must be endowed with, have gone through insolvency, and now you're back, at least with the ability to...
Jerusalem.
You love the dance to it?
I love the dance, and now that I have even little kids, my daughter is 8 now,
Wow.
and she teaches me how to dance that song, and I think she's gonna be a great dancer. So she teaches me, and it's really a good one. But also Jerusalem, we're arriving in Jerusalem, and to me, I remember I've danced that song over now in the Tugume city. I've been working with over 140 young women, and we played that song in the coffee chamber one time, and you would have seen the happiness,
You give them a different feel of being in the chamber.
Exactly.
Listening to crickets on one end, and the next thing they're hearing blaring sounds of
Exactly.
Let's get down a bit groovy on this Sunday evening by listening, and maybe, if you please, dancing to this song that's chosen by Nelson Tugume, a businessman that has been to hell and back, but is still riding the high horse of success. It's Desert Island Discs.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
Jerusalem, ikhaya lami, ilo
Welcome back. It's Desert Island. I think you've had it for yourself that even in the worst storm of bankruptcy, perhaps if you have the right thickness of skin, you possibly will come out of that what seems to be an abyss. Nelson is just a living example of one of those, and at a very young and tender age. But from a little bit of strands of silver on your hair, this is not hereditary. This must have been as a result of the stress you picked up along the way. The gray I'm talking about.
Maybe. But also I made 38 last March, so you can see really I'm way above age. It's no longer the other young man.
He's no longer the other man.
Yes,
Young man.
yes.
So Nelson, at the moment, of course, you've gone through all this, but you are, by all accounts, a young person, youthful, if I may put it that way, and yet we continue to operate in a country where, again, like they have said, I don't know whether it's cliche or you've seen it, most businesses, over 50%, when they are started, they don't live past their first anniversary. Then we had the wave of COVID-19 and its adverse effects on businesses. At the time when you are also trying to get onto your feet in the course of recovery.
Correct.
Just tell us how you have been, as an entrepreneur, able to ride this wave.
It was so, it put a different twist. I know some people say it was good of them to have time on them and all that. But to me, it took a different twist. One, you saw, for example, on an establishment like this, you would have maybe 25, 30 young people working there. We had scaled to about 8, and they did a good job. They still did a good job.
You scaled down.
Yes, they still did a good job. So I kept telling my team that, I go to this place maybe in Germany, and this whole place is run by one person. And when I asked them, they said they have a master's in software engineering. And we Ugandans, we need 5, 10 people to do this. So I saw that change a bit of our mindset. I should have learned a lot, or I should have done a lot of e-businesses because I did information technology. But I think because of so many things that happened in my life, some of the dreams evaporated. You have to put a stop. So what I did was now to concentrate on my e-commerce businesses, and which one of them will be launched soon. It's about an online coffee auction platform, which my mother will sell her coffee to buyer either in Finland, in the US, in Europe, in China, and get that real dollar that she's supposed to get. So that has given me that time to work on that coffee auction online platform. And very soon I know we're going to be launching it. It has given me also time to work on the Coffee City program, establishing it. There's so much to be done.
That's what we're waiting to see it. Until it comes out of the grass.
Exactly. So I've been doing a lot of farming, a lot of establishment.
Let's first understand how all of us have 24 hours for our days. You're doing over 24 things. How are you able to multitask and get all the things properly supervised and profitable?
One is that I try to engage my teams and explain to them my visions, my aspirations, and also to buy into those visions. So that I know it's still tough. I can't say that I'm 100% or even 80% or even 60%. But if you can get from a human being even 40%,
you're doing very well.
You're doing very well. So I keep pushing my teams. I keep asking my teams to buy into this vision, because it's just not my only vision. It's a vision that is going to change and disrupt the world. And to me, that's what I keep telling my team.
You have a coffee house in Kampala, another in other places. You're starting up mobile coffee delivery places. One would be therefore not be mistaken to assume that coffee is your favorite drink, is it?
That coffee
is your favorite drink, is it?
Coffee.
Or it's just what you trade in and it's not necessarily your favorite drink?
I don't know what's my favorite drink, but I take a lot of coffee. So I don't know, so it is my favorite drink. But because now I'm into it, I don't know if it is my favorite drink. Though I like, we have one of the baristas here, one of the best in the country. He does with me, he does for me coffee and whiskey.
And whiskey.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that is a different drink.
So what do you call that coffee with whiskey?
It's,
Been here with you almost an hour and you haven't given me a shot of that.
you're going to have that very soon.
What kind of host are
I'll
you?
I'll ask the barista to do that. But that coffee whiskey is, why am I forgetting the name? There are different types of coffee whisks and I'm forgetting the name.
But this is a particular one that is customized for
to
Inspire Africa.
Exactly.
Wow.
Customized for Inspire Africa. And my barista knows me when I asked for that drink. It means I've hit a good deal. And then I celebrate.
You celebrated it.
Yes.
How often have you been doing that lately? Looks like big deals have been flowing your way in.
Not really. Yes. I see. I'm so open and very positive on what discussions and everything that is happening. But yet, like you said, you're doing too much, and then you have that one moment that you need to celebrate and you finished. And also with the kind of ambitions and aspirations, I think you never think you're there.
Yeah, true. The success of one deal is the beginning
of the other. Thank you so much. Now you got it.
So what's your favorite dish?
My favorite dish? My favorite dish could be kalo and shawe.
No meat?
No meat. Kalo and shawe.
And wash it down
I
with
take
the
meat, but kalo and shawe, I want to have it at that favorite time, either on a function or you've come to visit me. At least I need to make sure that kalo and shawe is something that must be.
As a young entrepreneur that is, of course, juggling so many balls in the air, a couple of things must make you happy. But also there could be that something about you that gets you really sad. What's that?
What makes me sad? I think what makes me sad is when people I most on lists to disappoint me. Yes.
So you hate the idea of people not meeting your expectations.
Yes.
What gives you a good laugh, Nelson? You're already smiling anyway, even in the face of great adversity.
What makes me laugh? I think my personality is a smiling personality. But maybe what makes me satisfied, the real, because I have to smile all the time. By the fact I meet people, I'm into now hospitality management. Even when I can't smile, I need to smile. But what makes me that satisfaction is when I've accomplished what I need to do. If let's say in a day I have 1 to 2 things or 10,
list,
and I've finished all of them, I am humbled. And the last one is, I think, I've one beautiful family.
Wow.
When I go back and these young children that you see, you have kids and they're able to play with you, and also actually never mind or care. What they care about is the dad. But the rest, they will ask you if you can help them wash the dishes, and they'll tell you all their.
Do you have the time to attend to these little minions?
Yes. Cook for them. Ask them to come and help them in homework. They want you to clean some place with them, and to me, that's what makes me real when I go back home. So the business staff person, maybe
you know that they get.
Yes.
As you enter your house.
They make me completely Nelson, the one that the me. Yes.
Nelson, there's quite a bit of a vision you have up your sleeve, and the good thing is you have a lot of time on your hands in terms of lifespan. So I wish.
May God
grant that.
Grant that, yes.
So when we see you in the next 10, 20, 15 years, on a ballot paper maybe, running something as huge as your rich counterparts like Dangote and the I mean, where do we see you?
One is that I've always discouraged, and I must continue to discourage myself, especially from the inner part of my heart. Recently, I was doing a project in my countryside, and I told you I was employing so many people. People were excited, and they were thinking you should be our next member of parliament. And
the people were beginning to speak to you.
Yes, that you should be the next member of parliament. And to me, Simon, I think we need a more private sector predominant economy than the public sector. And therefore, if you kill people like us to go in the parliament I see today, I think you're killing the economy. For example, right now we're about 70, even 80% public sector dominant to the private sector. If you remove the government today, the economy will collapse in the next 20 days. And we must reverse that. In all countries, number one country that you know, private sector is 70, 80, 85%. It's a public sector just to do a bit of
public good and
public good, isn't it? So I must discourage myself. I must tell people who tell me that I have a bigger plan. I've told you only the Coffee City Dream will help over 1 million people, over 800 households. So really, why do you want me to be a member of parliament? Really?
With an impact of over 800,000.
You know my quickest, let me tell you my quickest intervention on the young people, on the youth employment, with great thanks to PSFU and MasterCard Foundation to create over 1,000 jobs for young people, decent jobs in this case, and in the coffee value chain. Tell me how many members of parliament have that opportunity to serve in that capacity. So to me, I think, and I want to tell the public, not every person who is successful somewhere must go into politics. I want to discourage the public, to discourage their people who should go in politics.
Especially young people.
Yes, people who go in politics should go there to serve.
At self-actualization.
Exactly. But not to go there, our people go there to earn money, isn't it? And I think there is better money to earn. And that quickly reminds me back when I started Inspire Africa. This was to create a revolution of young entrepreneurs. After being challenged by Asia mainly, I used to do a lot of businesses in Asia. And when I would go there, business people, men were the owners of the cities, and they were the real people. But here, the minister has 2 lead cars, and when they call you at a function, my friend, if you're a businessman, even if you pay 20% of all government their taxes, their salaries in taxes, even if you pay 20% of government workers, my friend, if you're in a function and the minister comes, they will say, please, can you? And to me, I think that must be, or needs to be reversed. So politics,
not a good area for you to go.
Not a good idea.
This is a very beautiful country, Nelson, and as we conclude, time is not usually an ally when we're having these interesting conversations. First tell me, with all this, what do you, other than playing with your children, do you ever have a moment to relax? Take a holiday, for example,
yes,
or relaxing is working?
When I take my children to, before COVID, I always go with them around the country, out of the country. When I have some money to spend, I think they have seen the best.
Wow.
I could say, at least I know my children have been to the best parts in the world. And to me, like my father was with me in those best times in the market selling juice in the plantations, I think I can also give another
Perspective.
yes. But also I'm with my children also back in the countryside carrying napier grass and making silage for the cows and doing all those kind of, removing the cow dung. And my Joshua, my boy, the other day, when I asked him that, you must remove that cow dung to the biogas pit, and he said, Dad, how? I said, no, that's how they do it.
With your hands bare.
Yeah, with your hands bare. You don't need, I was asking me for gloves. So I said, no, you do it with your hands
did
bare.
he?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
He did. So one way I relax with my children, take them out. I like playing golf as well. Though lately my time is getting slimmer and slimmer. I wish I could play.
And the holes remain 18.
They still remain 18. Yeah, so I hope I could get more time for myself.
Wow.
Because I recently lost a friend of mine whom I had 2 days back.
Oh dear.
Edmond Kananura is in coffee. I was with him at the office and they told me he died. Just 2 days I went to Ntunga. By the time I was coming, they said Edmond is dead. I said no. So I think also friends out there, much as we work hard, I don't know what we're trying to achieve.
But we need a moment to relax.
We need a moment.
Where in this beautiful country would you have to be marooned at least for a couple of days? It's a beautiful country, Please don't take us back to your ick people.
I know it is strange,
But that's where you'd want to go.
but Simon, I told you I went to 3 days in the ick without knowing anyone. No one even knew I was there. Not even my wife. No.
What were you trying to achieve? Were you trying to commit suicide?
No, I had my moments, my bad moments, and I needed to reignite and start a new life. So
You weren't hiding.
No, I actually wasn't hiding. I wanted to go in a place where I couldn't speak any language with the people, and I'd seen something on television about the ick, and I didn't know what I was going to find. No sooner I found, beautiful, caves. What are these things we studied in geography? The East Africa.
The
Great Rift Valleys between the Turkana and us, that's where they are. The vegetation, the savanna vegetation, the trees, the bees, the story, the language. So to me, I'm saying I've still got the ick.
Wow, interesting.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you.
Sharing with us your life story, haphazard as it is in terms of the so many things you're doing at the same time. But we know that maybe that's what exactly is the wind beneath your wings. So as I was saying, Kwaheri to our listeners and viewers, you'll have to play them that one last song.
That one last song, that legend, John Legend, All of Me. Yes, that would be my last song.
Now you want to go into the red light zone and just get a bit, serenade.
Correct.
And enjoy a Sunday evening like we're doing.
Correct.
It's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank
but
you,
also
Simon.
most importantly, having our viewers and listeners. We never take your presence for granted. We know you could be doing so much more, but you always grace this program with your presence. And if for nothing else, like the name of his coffee house is, possibly he has inspired you, myself, and many others. So let's meet same time, same place next Sunday with yet another incredible life story from a folk that has distinguished themselves. Good day and God bless.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.